Hi guys, it's Crystal. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go over how to weld and slice and how to bring an image into Cricut Design Space from your desktop or laptop. I have talked about re-recording this video for a long time. When I recorded it before, it was live, so it was a little bit blurry and stuff. So hopefully this works out a little bit better. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and let's do the welding and slicing first. So let's go to images. And let's see here. Let's say that let's try something as simple. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. I want to try. Let's see. Okay, I've got one. Let me see. Let me go to mustache. This is a great one because I just used this one the other day. Okay, there is one that has 3. Let's see if I can't find it. Maybe it was glasses. Let me type in glasses. Oh. Okay, I think it was glasses. All right, let's scroll down until I can find it. Let's see. This will be a perfect one to show. Let's see. Okay, so it's right here and it's free. So this is the one I used the other day from the mustache. It comes with eyeglasses, mustache, and a bow. And I use both of these two. Okay, so, and this is free. Insert image. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you how we're going to do this. So let's go ahead and bring it right around in here. Let me actually shrink that just a little bit. Okay, let me go ahead and shrink that just a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, come over here to shapes, okay? Click on shapes, click your square. You're going to take your square. Let's say that I need the glasses, okay? So you would take your square over the mustache and the bow and make sure that you're getting it right above it. So what you can do is you can always click right here, click on the glasses, and come up here to arrange, right here, arrange. Click this if you need to see where you're at and move to the front. Okay, so you can kind of see that way. If you don't want to clip your mustache on accident, you know where you're at. So that looks good to me. So you can leave it like that. You don't have to have it behind. So you already have that selected. You would hit Command and click the square, or you could come up here and click Select All. So once you have them both selected, you're going to come down here to where it says Slice, right here, right there. You're going to click on Slice. All right, so then you can take your square, see how I cut it out just like that. You can exit that. And then if you move this, you can see now that these are separated. So I can exit out of this one. And I want to keep this because I'm going to do it again. So if that way, say if I want, now you can either, if you just needed the glasses, you would just exit right out of this and get rid of it. But now say that I do want to use all 3 pieces, or I just want to use the mustache. I would do the same thing. I'm going to repeat the process. So you're going to get another square. And we're going to come right below the mustache, just like this. And once again, to check, just in case I wanted to keep the bow, I would click on the mustache, and I would click Arrange, move to the front, and so I can see that I'm going to miss it. So I could probably actually move it up just a little bit, just to be safe, just like that. And like I said, you can, now let me show you by selecting all. So to select, well, actually I don't want to select all now because we have this piece. So you could actually just use your tool to completely go around these two, and that would select all. And then we're going to hit Slice again. And we're going to hit our square, delete that, and delete this bow because it'll double it. So now we have all 3 separate pieces, okay? So you have your glasses, your mustache, and your bow. So that way now you have all your pieces. So that's how you would slice, stuff like that, to slice an image apart. Okay, so let's show weld. Let's go to, let's do that with some lettering. Let's see. Let me go ahead and exit out of these. Exit. Okay, so let's go to writing. Let's type in love. All right, and I want to bring this up here and bring it a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. All right, so I'm going to come up here to a font. I want to find something that's supposed to be like a cursive. So let's say we choose this one. Let's see. Just something that's cursive. Okay, so what you're going to do with something like this, with this writing, you see that it's so gapped. I see so many people, and I did too when I first started using like my Cricut and stuff. Like say if you were using this for writing or something like that, everything's so gapped out. All you have to do is you have to come up, so it's already selected. You would come up here, you can either hit letter spacing, which is right here, letter spacing, and you would hit your down arrow. If you start hitting your down arrow, you can see that everything's coming together. So now, I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring it out so hopefully you can see. You can see that that perfectly butted up against the E. So I'm happy with that. I don't want to keep using letter spacing because it's going to really push these two together. So I'll stop right there. So now I'm going to come, it's still selected, and I'm going to come and ungroup. So I'm going to come right here and click ungroup. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the U and click my command button, and I'm going to click the E. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my arrow over to see if I can do it that way. So I'm going to use on my laptop, I'm going to hit my arrow to the left and come over until those butts. See, now they're butted up, so I'm happy with those. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit command again. I'm going to grab my O. I'm going to use my arrow again. And see, now they're butted up. So everything is butted up together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it all. And I'm going to go ahead and hit attach. And let's see. At this point, I guess on this one, it's not going to let me hit weld because of that. Let me detach. Select it all again. Yeah, the only option it's going to do is let me attach it, which that's fine. So everything's going to be together. I really want to weld it though. I'm not understanding. Maybe if I regrouped it. Let me try this really quick. Okay. So let me detach it again. So we're going to select all, and we're going to go ahead and hit group. So everything is grouped back together. And okay, so it's on writing. That's why it's not letting me hit weld. So let me go ahead and change this to a cut. So that way I can hit weld probably. So I'm going to have to change all these individually because I've ungrouped them. So you would want to do this, to change this to a cut file beforehand. Say if this was being a cut. So the only time I guess you'd be able to use weld. Nope, it's still not letting me attach. It's still not letting me weld. So I'm not too sure where's that. Okay, but either way, that just kind of shows you, this at least shows you how to move your letters closer together. So that's what you're supposed to do. Now, if you don't want that L together, just don't push it as close, because sometimes the L would be separate and then it would be this. So just do it however you want to. But not always pushing your arrow over is going to work. But what you would do is the same thing. You would grab this one and this one with your command or shift. You would just grab them with your mouse and just slowly move them carefully without bumping them up and down. And I've done that before. So that's what it's supposed to look like, is you're supposed to move them together. So like I said, you'll see that a lot where it's like it's gapped out. And then once you get it done, you realize, I don't think that looks right. So that's how you do that. So let's go ahead and move on. Let me figure out something to weld here. And let's see, let's go ahead and let me go to an image. And let's see if I can't weld two things together just so we can see. Let's see. Well, actually, let's see. Let me go back to shapes. We can do it with two squares. So for example, I did this the other day when I was making my face mask, okay? So you would take, let's say that I've got two shapes like this, and I'm actually needing to line these up. So say one's kind of like this. I need them to be right next to each other. I would select them both, and then I'm going to go to align, and I'm going to center, align to the bottom, just like that. See how now they're level. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring it over with my arrow, and let's see if I can go ahead and weld these. So I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to hit weld. So now these two are together, but it's still going to have this cut line here. So let's see. I don't know why it's still showing that cut line. Let me undo that actually. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, now that they're next to each other, I'm going to move my arrow over. Say that I've got them. I want them to be right next to each other. So now they have them right next to each other. I'm going to select it again. At this point is when you would want to do this. So I'm going to align bottom. So now they're straight. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit weld. So now they're welded into one piece. So you can see there's no line here. Okay, so that's how you would weld something. You would just, you know, you want to line them up really good. So let me show you kind of how I did that face mask the other day, just to show you how you can work with shapes, okay? So let me exit out of this so you can create your own sewing pattern or something like that. Okay, so say I started with a square. I have to kind of walk myself and remember what I was doing. So I took a circle. So what I did was let's see, let me bring my square down just a little bit. I took my circle and I kept it on top to where I could see, okay? So I needed so I brought my circle really big because I need it to be just like this to kind of come down. But what you're gonna have to do is zoom out, because if you're too close to your top, it's gonna do that. And I left it like that because I wanted y'all to see. Okay, so like I said, you wanna make your circle bigger than your square if you're doing something like this. So then what I did was I lined it just like this, and then I'm going to select all, and I'm going to slice, okay? So then now I'll be able to delete this piece. Oh, actually, no. Let me undo that. I kept that piece. Okay, so I kept this piece. What I actually did with this, so let me show you. So let me go ahead and delete this circle. So the next thing I did, I'm gonna need it to be bubbled out here, okay? So what I did was I took this shape and I came up here to rotate and I went to 90 degrees, all right? Then I came and I brought it right up against here. This is what I'm talking about, where you're gonna just get them real close to one another, just like that. All right, now I need to line them so that way they're gonna be perfectly level. So I'll come back up to align, and I'm gonna line to the bottom, just like that. So now you see they're perfect. So then I'm going to select it and hit weld. So now it's all one piece. So that's how I got this piece to be bubbled out. I actually used the piece that was here. And now if it's not long enough, if it's not the same length, you can always take and expand it till you know that it's right there at that perfect length. And you can tell by checking. So you could click this one and see what its length is, and then you can check this one. So you can unlock it and change the length so that way you can make sure they're perfect. I'll show you that in just a second, okay? So this is what I started with. Well, I need this piece to be off, okay, because this is too long. So then I'm going to take another shape, take another square. So I'm going to take that square and I'm going to come over here. So I will know that I kind of want it maybe right about here. And then I'm going to select it all again, hit slice, and I'll delete this piece and this piece and this piece. And that's exactly how I came up with the piece for my face mask. And then I just, to do both ears, so what I did was to duplicate it, I hit duplicate. And then to have it, because you're gonna need it to be in the opposite direction when it's cutting, you would flip horizontal, and that's right here. I'm trying not to go too fast. So there would be my two pieces that I need to cut out of my fabric. And you could always set these on your mat however you want them, so that way you can make sure your fabric is going to be cutting exactly. So if you want to keep your pattern intact, you'd want to, because these two pieces are going to be sewn together like this, you'd want to keep them on this. So you would want to swap them around on your mat, okay? So that's how I created that. I just eyeballed something and thought, okay, I can do that. And now I can do that with shapes. So that's all that you have to do to create something. And, you know, I was watching something, and I'm not trying to be like TMI or anything like that, but I was watching last night about people that create their own feminine products, you know, like the pads and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not trying to be TMI, but I thought it would be really cool if you could bring that pattern into Cricut Design Space and be able to cut those out. You know, now I had a hysterectomy. I'm only 33, and I had my hysterectomy, I think, when I was 24, so I don't have these problems, but I thought it's really neat. I have teenage daughters, and I thought it was a really cool concept. And I thought, you know, you could get either your pattern from Etsy, so pay for it, and then you can bring that into Design Space, or you can eyeball it and figure out your shapes. So let me kind of show you how I was thinking, you know, and I may not be able to pull this off, but I just wanted to kind of show you how I would play around with it if I was trying to figure it out, okay? So what I would do is exit out of these. I would start with, let's see, which shape do I want to start with? I noticed that the sides, so let's start with this one, because I noticed that the sides of it was like this, okay? So let me go ahead and get a square, because what I want to do is I want to cut this top piece off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my square bigger, like I said. And I may have to bring this down because I'm going to bump up at the top. Okay. So I want to line this right there at those points. So I'm probably going to bring this one forward. Let me kind of zoom y'all in just a hair to make sure y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to move to the front, because I want to make sure that these points are right where I need them to be. Something like this, okay? So I want it to be real flat. So I've actually got these points up on it just a little bit. I don't know if you guys will be able to pick this up on the camera or not. I really hope so. So then we're going to select all. I'm going to go to slice. And I may keep this shape because I may need it later, okay? So we're going to delete this because you just never know. So I know the two sides. So I'm going to duplicate this because I know the two sides are like this. And I actually need to rotate these 90 degrees. All right. And what I'll actually do is delete one. That way I only have to do this once. So let me duplicate this. All right. So I've got two of these. And I'll need to flip this horizontally. So that way I have one for each side. And so it would be just like this. All right. So now let's see. I'm going to need, so for my next pieces, I know that these are kind of either like shaped a little bit more square off or a little bit round. Let's just work with something round and see what we can't pull off. Okay. So let's see, square. Let's take our square here. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock it. And I'm going to try to drag it like this, just so I can kind of get my basic shape going on here. And let's say that these, because I seen that like one of them was like 10 inches. So let's work with like a 10-inch shape. So I'm going to need it 10 inches in length. So I'm going to come up until I can get it to about 10 inches, which I could actually, there it is, 10 inches, which you could actually come up here to the top and change that. But let's see, so 10 inches, let's say that they are by, I'm going to come up here to the top and change my size. Let me zoom you back out so you can see where I'm at. So you would come back up here where your sizing is. So my height is 10. I'm going to change my width to about, I'm not too sure what these would be, but maybe like 3. Let's just see what it would look like. Let's do 4 maybe. Okay, we're just playing around with this. I'm not too sure exactly what we'd need width or anything, but we'll just stick with this. All right, so let's just say this is our basic shape. I'm going to lock it back. So I've got it 10 by 4. And let's bring these down. All right. And I know the sides come off like this, okay? So let's say that they're more a little bit like that. Let's say that that would be right, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And I'm actually going to duplicate this one. So that way I don't have to mess with it. So this one actually, I'm going to flip it horizontally. And we're going to come here. And like I said, this may not be something that you're creating. I just wanted to show you how you could take something. I'm going to try to zoom y'all in so y'all can see. So y'all could take something and look at it and create something, okay? I don't have the image here anywhere. I'm just looking out of my brain. Okay, so I want to center these together, okay, before I weld them. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange. Nope, I don't need to arrange. I need to align. Okay, so I want to center these vertically maybe? Yep. So now these little wings part is going to be in the center. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I have it all selected. I'm going to come down here and hit weld. And there you go. So now we have our basic shape, right? So now to round our corners, this is what I'm thinking. So like I said, once again, you're going to get your circle. And now the circle, this is, again, you're going to want this way bigger than your project, just like this. And what I'm going to do is I want to bring my other shape to the front. So once again, go to arrange. That way I can see where I'm located, okay? So what we want to do, and I can kind of look at this through these little squares so I can see where I'm rounding it so I can do the next side. Okay, so let's bring this down. Let's say that we round it. No, let's say that we do it like around the 1/2 inch mark there on one of those squares. So you can see my square here, and I'm trying to get it about a 1/2 inch in, just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit command, and you just want to select all these pieces. We're going to hit slice, and I can get rid of, And you can actually, well, no, I want to get rid of this circle. And, hold on. I want to get rid of this piece, just like that. So now it's more rounded. And what I actually probably should have done was come over a little bit because it's not as round as I want it to be. So let me undo that and let's try it again. I mean, it's trial and error. All you got to do is hit undo. So that's what I'm doing. Hit undo. All right, so I wasn't happy with that. So what I'm gonna do is, I wanna make sure, let me go ahead, I'm gonna take this. You see my squares in the background? I'm just gonna make sure that I've got this lined up pretty evenly. So that way when I go to round, I can know what I'm doing. Okay, so there is, so I wanna stay between this width here. So let's see. Let's try something like this and see if I'm happy with that. All right, so let's go to command. We're going to select. We're going to slice. We're going to remove this piece. Oop. And I'll make sure it's not, okay. Just like that, okay? And so now let's go ahead and adjust the other one. So we're going to need another circle. And let me do this again, make it big. And then we're gonna bring this back up to the front. We want it arranged to the front. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. Oh, we had two of these from where I sliced. I forgot about that. We want to delete one. All right, so we're gonna have this on the top so that way we can see what we're doing. Trying to make sure just to have my sides even here so that way I can make sure it's going to be a perfect little round as we can get it. So I'm probably going to do something like that. I'm going to hit command, select it, and I'm going to slice. And we're going to delete this piece and that piece. All right, we got two of these. All right, so say this is our basic shape. To create this, we could actually round these off just a little bit more. But when you are going to sew all the way, when you go to sew, because you're going to put two pieces together, wrong sides together, when you go to sew, you're going to sew all the way around this anyways, and that should round your areas, okay? But let's just say that's basically the shape you needed to come up with. And now, remember, we need this to be 10 inches tall no matter what. So I'm going to go to 10. Oh, hold on, let me unlock this. I'm going to go to the size. I'm going to change my height to 10. And then my width, like I said, we were thinking about 4 maybe. So 4 inches by 10 inches, something like that. So I'm not happy at all with my wing pieces here, okay? So I've decided that I should have waited to weld these on until I was done. So to easy fix this, I don't want to undo everything. What we're going to do, let me bring this up. I'm going to bring in another square. Okay, and once again, we're gonna make this bigger than our project. And I wanna arrange this to the front. All right, and what we're gonna do is just bring this to the edge just like this. And then we're going to select it and slice it. Now I can delete this piece and we're gonna come over to the square. I can keep the same square and just use the other side. All right, and then we're going to select it all again, hit slice, and take this piece off. There we go. And then, let me move this. I like to do that sometimes so I make sure I don't delete. Okay, so we got 2 of these. I just need 1. And you can see that I could have actually cleaned up. I don't know if you're picking that up a little bit more of this, but I'm not too concerned about it for video purposes, okay? So that way you don't have to go all the way backwards. So now what we want to do is, I want to unlock this again because I want to make sure this is staying at the 4 wide. I want to see, I think that's too big. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's right because once you do your sewing, I'm just saying this, don't use this pattern. This is just my guesstimates, okay? So let me go back to shapes again. We're going to want another pentagon. And we're going to take our square. And I'm going to clean this up. We're going to make the square bigger than this. This is just trying to show you how you can create your own patterns. And we're going to arrange to the front again. I like to do that so I can see what I'm doing because I want these edges gone. All right, those corners. I want to make sure they're cleaned up. Now we're going to slice again and delete. I'm going to delete that and delete this, delete this. And I've decided we didn't need this big one, so I'm deleting it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Before I make another one, we're going to get this size perfect. There we go. So let's say that probably looks a lot better in size. Let me back it out. That looks a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to flip it horizontally, get it to this side. Now what I'm going to do is, once again, get them real close to one another. And we're going to go ahead and select it all. Select it all, and then we're going to align center vertically, all right? And then we're going to go ahead and hit weld. There we go. So now it's all attached. So there's our piece. So just like that, you can eyeball something and play with some basic shapes to create something. And then, so if this is what your shape was, okay, let me actually undo this really quick because I have an idea, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll just do our sides again. All right, undo, there we go. I can keep my sides because they're already there. So let me undo what I just did. All right, I want to duplicate this center piece. Let me duplicate it before I get too crazy. Now let me re-weld this so I can show you what we're going to do if you were going to creating your whole file. So what they do when they have this, you're actually going to have two of these pieces, so you'd want to duplicate that, all right, because you're going to have your top and your bottom. Now for the inside here, what we're going to do is we're going to unlock this again. I want to keep it at 10 inches. Well, yeah, let me actually do, I'm trying to think, maybe 10.5. Let's try 10.5. 10.5, and then the width, let's change it to 3. All right, so, and actually, did that change again? No. Oh, sorry, 9.5. 9.5, because you want it to be a little bit smaller, because it's going to fit in here. Let me change the color of this so that way we can see what we're doing. So I can show you what I'm talking about. So I was creating a whole pattern, okay? Let me move this forward. Arrange. Right. Now, one of the other pieces that you're going to need for like cutting terry cloth and blah, blah, blah is a piece that goes in the middle just like this. So you'd be creating that, okay? So then you would have this piece, and, you know, depending on how many layers, like I was watching the videos and stuff like that. And like I said, I was watching this lady, she was really neat. I think her name is Do Not Eat the Grass. She just came across my page, and I started watching her last night. I mean, her personality is just awesome. So I just started watching all these random videos, and she's about like, you know, recycling and upcycling and all these kind of things. So anyways, I seen this, and that's what made me think about it. And I thought, oh wow, I didn't even know people did that. And I thought that'd be cool to bring in a design space. So anyways, so I noticed that, you know, so then I got into watching videos of how people were making these. Okay, so anyways, some people cut like 3 layers of this centerpiece here to make it thickness of their terry cloth or whatever. So then if you need that, all you would do is come up to duplicates, duplicate it again. All right, so then you would have 3 pieces. So this would cut out your 3 pieces of terry cloth. You'd leave it white. This would be your front and back pieces. So you'd leave them just like that. And then, let's see, let me come over here to the mat to show you what it would look like. So if you came to the mat, let me zoom you back out. It would show you your terry cloth pieces just like this, and then you would have your other 2 pieces separated just like this because they're bigger, okay? But that's it. Like, I just wanted to show you like the basics of creating your own pattern, whether it's going to be for doing something like this or whether you're creating a stuffed animal or what, you know? Like, let me show you, for example, cancel. So let's go ahead and delete all of this. All right. And let's say you were creating like a bear or something. I mean, it would be as simple as taking, you know, a shape like this, you know, your circle, and then your ears. Let's say you took 2 more circles, because say you would sew your eyes on with buttons and stuff like that. You take another circle and say that would be happy with that. I'm going to duplicate that again and get it right here. Say that I'm happy with that. Say it seems all... Let's see, we'd select it all. This time we would want to center, let's see. I think it would be center horizontal. Nope, let me undo that. I was thinking we'd be able to align these to make sure they were all correct. Align top is what it is. Okay, so I pretty much have that aligned where it's correctly, so I could click on just this circle and use my arrow down to bring it where I want it, to make sure everybody's even, just like that. And then I would select all, and I would come down here to weld, right here again, weld it. So this would be one whole piece, and then, you know, you'd make your sizing and all that. You would duplicate so that you have your front and your back. And, you know, the same thing with your body. You would, you know, say that you were creating, you know, let's say that, you know, you needed to create your body. You would take another circle, unlock it. You would just drag down like this, so you can create more of a, you know, oval type shape to do something like this. And say these were separate because you're going to sew that on. So say that you're creating his little body. Let me move these up here so we can see. All right. I'm just giving you examples, okay? So this is not real. Okay, so say this was going to be his body, and then we would duplicate that for his back side. All right, and then we would come to create his little arms. And let's see, what shape would we want to use for his arms? Let's see. Say we did another square and a circle. All right, let's say that for his arm, let me unlock it. Say that you had something kind of like this. I would take, and I wanted the end to be round, so I'd kind of make it about the same size. And get those together, and let's say we weld those. Just like that. And I mean, that's not even, but I'm just showing you an example here, okay? And then, you know, so you can play around with it and kind of, you don't have to do this, so you can figure out your stuff. So say I was happy with that, I would duplicate it, so I had another one. And then the same thing, say that I was fine with those for the legs too, so I'd do that. And I could play with it so I could see if I was happy with it. Stick it down here. And let's see. Say that we were happy with it and we did something like that. And one more for his other little arm. Then you could play with the sizes and all that stuff. So, and then say you just sewed buttons on for his eyes and stuff. If you wanted to do his eyes, you could do this. So you could take another circle. Okay, let's say that, let's see. Let me change the eyes so that way we can see what we're doing. Let's change them white. And then I'm gonna come over here and arrange. Oh, it's already in the front. All right, so say that. So I'm going to cut this out with felt or something like that. I'm going to duplicate it. And then let me do one more. Do another circle. And then make it a little bit smaller. And make his little pupils. And then I would duplicate it again. All right. And then say that his nose, you would come over here and you'd figure out what shape that you like for his nose. And let's say that I like the triangle for his nose, okay? But I want to flip it 90 degrees. I'd come up here to the rotate, click it to 90 degrees. And actually I needed it to be 180. All right, so there we go. So let's say that this is his nose, and we're going to change it to pink so we can see it. All right, and we can bring it down in here. Just like that. And then say that you did stitching for his mouth or something like that. So, I mean, it's that easy to create. And then, I mean, if you wanted to even go into details and have, like, you know, his ear and stuff like that, to have, let me go ahead and make these pink. If you wanted to go into detail and, like, you know, put more character into his ears and stuff like that with fabric, you would just do something like this. You just want to make sure when you measured all your stuff, make sure you would make it, you know, a 1/4 inch bigger, so that way you'd have your seam allowance and things like that. And it would be just as easy as that to create your own patterns. So I hope this kind of helped you guys a little bit and was a little bit more in depth of welding and slicing and things like that. So that way you guys could see how that works and how it would work to create patterns, or whether, you know, you're using other images on here, you know, and you just want one piece of it. Because you can use so many things. Like, let me show you an example really quick before we get out of here. Let me go ahead and delete all of this. All right, let me come over here to images. And let me go to hippo. All right. So let's say that I wanted to make a stuffed animal that was a hippo, and I like this guy right here. So I'm gonna hit insert him, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do, you notice that this layer right here is the eyes out on it. Let me go ahead and zoom y'all into that really quick so y'all can see. Okay, see how they've got the eye clicked out on this back base? That's the piece that you're gonna need. Okay, so let me go ahead and move you back over here. Zoom you back out so that way you can see what we're working with. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and come up here to where it says ungroup. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, see where it says ungroup right here? I'm gonna ungroup everybody, okay? So I can move this guy and this guy, this guy. This is my main piece that I need. So I can sew together, I'm gonna use this guy right here. So that way I can take this and create a pattern. So you could just keep this, and then you could, if you wanted to, you could cut this out. That way you would have all your pieces. You could cut out, you know, certain pieces. You could then, like, you know, we've got, say that you've got, like, he's got a little flower here. I would just go find another flower somewhere. That way you could, you know, add little shapes in here. But like this piece right here, I would make sure they're the same size before I did this, but I could cut this piece out separate in another color to have this piece. And then the same thing with his head. If I wanted to, let me go ahead and show you that. Let me take a square. All right. Say that I want to use just this piece here. So I would take and make this a little bigger. And remove this up so I don't cut my guy down there. I would put this just like this, and I'm gonna rotate it just a little bit so it's working where I need it with. I'm gonna go ahead and select these two pieces carefully, and I'm gonna hit slice, and I need this piece. But like I said, make sure everybody's even before you go cutting on this. So say that I wanted to separate and have that piece just like that. So that way I could utilize this. I wasn't paying attention. I don't know if that was his nose or what these pieces were. But anyways, nonetheless, you get my point. So that way you could use these pieces to create sewing projects. So, I mean, don't feel afraid to like venture out there and create your own stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Hopefully you guys could kind of understand the concept of what I was trying to teach, of how you could create your own patterns and how you could weld and slice and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.